This is Radio Free Cybertron, episode 883. I am Brian Kilby. Radio Free Cybertron is the world's first and oldest toy and action figure podcast since 1999. Since 1984, though, the Transformers were around. And we actually, Diecast and I last night saw, hey Diecast, saw the 40th anniversary special event from Fandango. Did anybody else, Don, Matt, Chris, Rob?
I'm going Saturday.
Okay.
I'm going Saturday.
Okay. So, it's more than meets the eye and transport to oblivion. There's no spoilers here. But I can give you some thoughts. I really enjoyed seeing Emily and BMAC on screen.
No.
I can't remember. I thought it was cool. You saw the design team and all that, and like there's a ton of commercials for Transformers before this. I can't remember the last time they did a Transformers or G.I. Joe event, but there were a bunch of commercials before that too. It may have been the showing of G.I. Joe, the movie, a couple years back. So you didn't care for that? You didn't care for seeing the Hasbro crew?
No, I didn't mind BMAC. BMAC's great. He's fine.
You're not going to say a bad word about Emily here. I am a big fan.
No, Diecast. That wasn't a suggestion. That was an instruction. Stop. You are not going to say a bad thing.
So, I wish she was on the Transformers team.
At some point, she very well could end up being on the Transformers team.
She's on like every other team, I think.
I know. Yeah. No, I think she's great. I think she does a great job. So, I couldn't tell you a thing about like what she actually adds to the brand from like a management perspective, but like on the Pulse streams and everything, she's super knowledgeable. She doesn't take flack from people. So, I'm a fan. I seeing Mark up on the big screen, man, that just warmed my heart. Like that was so great. But God, there were a lot of ads. And there were trailers. If I'm paying for a premium event, I don't need to see trailers for movies that Fandango's not carrying. Yeah, I get like the limited release stuff, like the anime and things like that Fandango is going to do. But don't show me Pixar trailers, please. And it'd be nice if I didn't see commercials.
Yeah, the last time I ever went to an AMC theater, they showed me like actual television commercials, and I decided I was never doing that again.
Yeah. But I have to say, so More Than Meets the Eye Part 1. It was basically a BotCon script reading with video. And it was a little odd. I'm not going to say it was never off-putting, but it was odd. Anybody want to guess who the best person doing voice acting was for this whole thing?
Frank Todaro.
Frank Todaro, our pal Frank. And that's not because I know Frank. It's because he was the best one there.
It's because he does a really good Starscream.
He does a great
Starscream. That's the guy that did Starscream? I was going to say he did a great job.
Yeah.
Frank Welker, just watching him and his facial expressions are always great.
So Frank was fun. Peter Cullen, surprisingly good. He doesn't have the same voice anymore, but he can still do contractions. And like not doing his movie Optimus was nice. But just going back to Frank Todaro real quick. For the people who don't know, Frank's like the voice of Donald Duck and a couple other characters. He's like in Cutman, right? He's the other guy, I think. Obviously, I'm hip to all these video games, but like he does like Donald Duck. He's been a fan though, Transformers fan, like an online fan, just like us, forever. And it's good to see that he's achieved a lot. But yeah, he was the best one. Who was the guy doing Jazz?
He was good too. I thought he was really good.
He sounded like he could do a Scatman Carruthers. Like I recognize him, but I don't remember what from.
I thought his Jazz was on point. like really good.
Yeah. Peter Cullen did a pretty good job. He could still do Ironhide. He can still do Optimus.
Okay, so how did they handle Soundwave's dialogue?
I'm Soundwave.
Like he just did the natural raspy voice, and they didn't
he did the Dr.
post
Claw
modulate
voice.
it.
Dr.
Yeah,
Claw.
okay.
He did,
okay.
He just did Dr. Claw.
Yeah.
And there was a couple points when I guess he could. The cut was too quick, so it was just the audio from the show, fully modulated. Like happened once or twice.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Michael Bell. I love Michael Bell. I love that man. I love Michael Bell. But he is certainly aged since I've seen him in person, and he just doesn't have like the same energy that he had when. I mean, God, it's been 20 years since I saw him in person, and Paul Eiding, okay. Greg Berger, I was happy to see Greg, but obviously Grimlock was not in it.
Yeah, I really wish. I'm like, man, we got Greg and he can't even do Grimlock.
Yeah. So, the thing that was kind of off-putting about it, I gotta say, because they had to fill in like the spots for the folks that have died. Sometimes, Frank Tadaro, obviously, he does a fantastic Starscream. He channels Chris Latta, and he does it. Some of the other voice actors, like they just did like their own sort of generic voice for some of the characters. Cliff Jumper for anything for Casey Kasem, kind of generic. I think, was it Paul that did those voices, or was it Greg? I don't even remember.
I think it was Paul.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was kind of wondering how. I figured they would just, for some of the people that had passed, they would just let the dialogue in the episode run, and they would pick up.
Generally speaking, I mean, a couple instances they like voices from the show snuck in, I guess, because the dialogue didn't come out right or something. But generally, no, they re-recorded everything. And then, of course, More Than Meets the Eye Part 2 and 3 and Transport to Oblivion, which I slept through. I slept through Transport to Oblivion. Just fell asleep. But, they go back to the original voices, and that was not jarring. It was comforting. It's like, this is how it's supposed to sound.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
The only thing I wish is they had it like, basically playing on Teletran. I guess I would have wished they would have just blew it up as big as they could.
They more or less did. I mean, there was a frame around it, but you can't, without stretching it or matting it, you can't.
Yeah, it's a screen formatting thing. It's not a lack of visual resolution thing.
But Diecast is right, because they did use Teletran as a frame. They could have got a little more resolution out of. They could have got a little more out of it.
It wasn't the Cybernet Space Cube. Let's just say what it is. Okay.
Too bad.
Yeah. It's a shame. But overall, it's pretty good. It was definitely worth the $15 or whatever I paid for it, just to see it. And
the 20 you paid for the bucket and the cup.
That's coming in the mail. I haven't got that.
Okay.
But yeah, it was worth. It was. I wanted to see the re-recording and re-recorded stuff, and I did. And now I'll never have to do it again. And all the ads for stuff
that you'll never watch. Yeah.
Just as a question, for people who can't or aren't going to go see this, do any of the things like this like end up as extras on like DVD releases at a later date, or is it just basically it's now or never on this? Do you think?
I'm assuming it's so. There's a good chance that this will wind up on the YouTube channel for Hasbro.
Okay.
Very good chance, I would say, since they have all this stuff, they have episodes and everything up already. I wouldn't be surprised if this made it up
sometime around late August, early September for the actual 40th anniversary.
Yeah, maybe
that could work.
Or like Rob said, it'll definitely be an extra on something, maybe some sort of release of something.
Well,
I mean, after you.
Okay. Just speaking of higher resolutions, I would not be against an actual Blu-ray release for G1 at this point, because I'm pretty sure DVD is the only thing that's out there at the moment still.
But
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised too when the actual 40th anniversary is going to hit if we wouldn't see like a special little DVD release of maybe More Than Meets the Eye 1, 2, and 3, and this would be an extra on that.
Yeah. The most interesting thing about this, though, is how much I've forgotten about More Than Meets the Eye, because the episodes I go back and watch, basically none of them are season 1. And I can't tell you the last time I sat down and watched More Than Meets the Eye. It's probably been 20 years. So it was a reminder that even though I'm an obsessive Transformers fan, there's so much I've forgotten. I probably need to go back and watch. And honestly, there's media I've not even consumed that I need to go and eventually watch, maybe.
Well, Chris, every time this comes up, talking about, especially with you and Rob, about old media releases and stuff, I keep remembering Fort Max and all the trouble. So, if we got a Blu-ray of G1, would it look like crap, or could it look good?
They have the capacity to properly get that in HD, as long as the original film reels still exist for them to scan.
Because I just don't want Fort Max to like implode from more bad upscaling.
But you're gaining nothing from it.
Right.
It's gonna look. It could objectively look worse than a lower resolution master of it.
So my take on it is that for its own sake, animation almost never needs to actually be in HD. But in a world where the standard level of display is more 4K than not, having them scanned at that higher size, even if it's just in 1080, you're going to get a better result on the displays people actually have at home to view them versus blowing up an SD image onto that screen resolution.
I mean, we discussed this not terribly long ago.
About 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, but Brian and I agreed that the world needs to experience Carnage in C minor and the Five Faces of Darkness.
Especially the Five Faces of Darkness, yes.
Preach it.
Well, okay, I got a dumb question, Brian, and it's related. Me being the technology adverse as I am, what if they made a better tube television new?
I would love that. So
make the TV better instead of trying to make so people can watch old media on a better TV that it was made for.
Don, so what you want is an upscaler, and something like a Retro Tink 4K, which is like $700 or $800. And what it does is upscales the video, and then it'll interlace it for you, or it'll add scan lines, and it'll get something that's as good without having to have a TV that's going to make your house melt.
Or crash through your floor because it's so big and heavy.
Yeah. But I mean, people keep talking about we can't do it because of the video, because of the masters or blah blah blah. What if you just make a better television?
We have better televisions. I love CRTs, and CRTs definitely have their place, but this isn't an instance really where you have to have a CRT.
No, that's not the problem.
Yeah, CRT. What you get a benefit from that are things like retro gaming, or things like that, or things that play over RF, like a VCR. Yeah, like that's not necessary for this.
And before we move on, I did want to mention it was great having other Transformers fans in the theater with me, because there were a lot of parts where we all laughed, or because of animation errors, and there was a lot of those in those first four episodes. And a lot of just funny things, like when Bumblebee runs away and leaves Spike. It was all like
it's the Hound resuscitating Spike scene is what I laughed at.
That it reminds me of the experience of watching when Fathom did the Star Trek Next Generation Blu-ray episodes as theatrical showings when that first set came out. One of the episodes was where no one had gone before, And it wasn't a large crowd in there, but everybody in there was a devoted, longtime fan of the show. And there was the one moment where Wesley and the Traveler were talking, and somebody behind us shouted out, "Kiss, kiss!" And it's just like same energy, man.
Yeah, yeah. So if you haven't gone, definitely worth going for. Enjoy the re-recorded More Than Meets the Eye Part 1. Enjoy it for the novelty that it is. And then just leave. Unless you specifically want to see the other 3 episodes.
And it proves that Rumble is blue.
That's an animation error because the comics came first and Rumble was red.
And the toys came before either one.
Yeah. I will say this. Like when they're one thing, like, being, 40 years later and we live in a modern world where we have different sensibilities than we did back then, it is extremely cringe for me when they are shooting at Ravage. As a kid, I never thought about it. But now, like, when they're trying to actively kill the cat, that's just, can't do it. Okay. Let's jump into the news. Oh, man. Don Perlin passed away. 94 years old. He had a long life. But he did a ton of the Marvel run of the Transformers comics, plus a lot of other stuff. When did he start?
One of the obituaries I read said he started somewhere in the 50s with some romance comics, I believe.
No, where did he start in Transformers?
Yeah, I had his wiki page open earlier, but I don't remember what the first issue I saw listed there was. So that's on me. I can get that back real quick. Don Perlin's, I think this is the earliest credited one. Yeah, Shooting Star, issue 13.
With Hoist and the Bruce Springsteen pastiche?
No, Joey Slick using Megatron as his armed robbery device.
That was a good issue. That was a really fun issue.
And he worked all the way up through 35, it looks like.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah.
But he was also on the 17 and 18 Return to Cybertron arc, where we meet Scrounge and
Smelting Pool and Bridge to Nowhere.
Yeah, the 2 super strong issues of the Marvel run, and they look great. They just looked fantastic.
Yeah, no, I mean, his artwork on those issues was really solid. He had like a really distinctive look for the Transformers. Various of the artists who worked on Transformers during the Marvel run like had their take on it and left like a distinctive impression on how the Transformers were represented. But like when I think of the Marvel G1 comics, I think of what they looked like when Don Perlin was drawing them, more than I think of like Wildman's Transformers, for instance.
Yeah, I do think of Jeff Senior though. I gotta admit, and
Fair enough.
And Jose Dalbo. Yeah, I got a problem. Okay. Transformers Tuesday happened. Again, I forgot about it. I was at work when this was going on. And I went, oh, what's going on here? So I sort of tilted my head to my other monitor and started following what Ben Yee was posting to Twitter. So Studio Series and Comic Editions. So Chris, you were right, of course. Straxus is off Galvatron, and they did more work to him than I would have expected for a comic edition like this.
I mean, I'm still laboring under the impression here that all the retooling we're seeing is from when they were planning to have this be a mainline like legacy toy. Because like first year of legacy or first wave of second year, Straxus was supposed to be one of the leader slots that got bumped for Transmetal to Megatron instead. So this may be tooling from that period that this is the outlet for it finally.
Because I remember asking Chris back when Siege Galvatron came out and Chris had gotten it first, that did he think there was a Straxus in there? and he said it would take some retooling, but yeah, it's possible, and it looks great. It looks
great.
It does.
It really does.
And the flying cannon mode looks just
nailed it. Yeah,
nailed it. And it doesn't look like a weird version. It looks like Straxus, not Galvatron trying to be Straxus, which I'm so glad, because Straxus has this one particular look in when he assumed his flying cannon mode, and they nailed it.
I had talked myself out of buying any of the comic editions. So if I get Straxus, does that mean I need the rest?
Yes.
I think so.
I mean, the Grimlock...
You need them all to finish the picture, Brian.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, the Grimlock, I didn't like the way that Grimlock was at first with his attitude, especially when the throttle bots and all that went all that early on.
Oh, comics Grimlock. I thought you meant I thought you were talking about the toy.
No, sorry, no. That's why I wouldn't be buying duplicates of all Dinobots if that was the case. But the color on the comic Grimlock, Shockwave, I'm getting more like he'll look good with the set, kind of like that.
And he comes with Optimus Prime's head.
Yeah. No, I'm surprised how well Straxus's alt mode came out. The robot mode, to me, there is something just a little bit not right about it, because like the torso has, like, Straxus is a very square looking character overall in the comic art. And the torso of this does pull through the squareness. The limbs, unfortunately, bring a lot of roundness to it, which just kind of looks out of place on this design. And like, that's the Galvatron leavings. You can't replace the entire toy and call it a retool unless you do, because every once in a while. But like in this case, it was going to be a mix and match thing either way. But like, it's a little bit out of sorts to be seeing like, the boxy and the round against each other like that. But it does look pretty good. My only issue is like the halftone pattern for the comic stuff, like that on there isn't bothering me. I wish the shading detailing, like on the legs, was symmetrically mirrored on both sides. Like if it had just been a little bit more symmetrical looking, I'd be a little bit more eager about this. As it is, I'm still sitting here thinking like, okay, they've pulled this out for this once already. Surely it's going to come around again in the non-comics deco at some point in the not too far future. Couldn't I just wait for that instead?
You could.
So they did mention there is one more coming in the comics, and on the side, the profile of the box, it has the mural, and the hint of the fourth one is, what is it, a gold hand with a red forearm?
A gold hand and like a pointy red shoulder piece.
So I was thinking it was going to be Blaster, but that doesn't look like that's going to be the case.
Well, they also made statements during the stream that like they were having an interesting time pitching this to marketing, and it's apparently that they're like bringing in new characters with this selection.
Yes, they were surprised that this was being pitched at all.
Yeah. So like there's a lot of speculation going around that this might be the character Flame from the UK comics. JT Prime at some previous point had also mentioned that one of these comic sets was going to be a 2-pack. So if the fourth one could be like a pair of deluxes or something, it'd be maybe Flame and Zaron. That's kind of what's floating around right now for speculation.
What I want is big and red.
Oh, I want Spanner. The space bridge.
Oh yeah, that's how I think, Matt, you and me are the only people that want that. But that would be the next Titan, because then you can have big compatibility for connecting the bridge mode to like the Arc of the Nemesis.
Okay, so the chaos I want to sow upon the world is Core Class Spanner.
Well, that's just a bridge to nowhere.
Now, if we do get Zaron in that pack, given that he was functionally a slight modification of the original Megatron design, what do you think the odds are that we get Siege Megatron yet again for that?
Don't say it, Rob. You'll speak it into existence.
Okay. So we got to talk about Steeljaw, right?
Okay.
I want
Okay.
Steeljaw.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will say, out of everything that got revealed and went up for pre-order, that's the only thing that I bothered to pre-order. Because I don't have any faith in Core Class still being in the stores by the time this is supposed to come out.
That's smart.
Exactly.
You're right.
No, and
Yeah.
this came in at $10 instead of the 12 that they had been at retail. 12, 13.
Yeah,
That's
and
crazy.
also Steeljaw was the first thing to pre-sell out on Pulse, so I'm glad I went right for that and didn't like wait and think about it.
Are we ever going to get anything else? A ram horn or an ejector?
Well,
you want?
Well,
I
Ram
think-
Horn is
yeah.
coming in a 3-pack.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I wonder if the other of those speakers is going to be coming with Ram Horn in that 3-pack or with somebody else, because Blaster with just that one speaker doesn't recreate the scene from Autobop. It just doesn't work without that other speaker.
Yeah,
You
those
just gotta buy
I'm-
two.
Yeah,
I wouldn't
I'm
be.
fairly certain
Yeah.
it'll come with something else.
It very well could end up being in that 3-pack just because they have the tooling for it already and they can just throw it in as an inclusion.
I just want to point this out before this goes away. Is there any shock or surprise that Don wants to create every facet of Autobop?
No. I'm just saying getting one speaker for that purpose doesn't really make a lot of sense from people that say they like to complete sets. Well, if you're doing Autobop, you
Which
gotta
you would
have
do.
I'm just saying you gotta have two speakers
Don
or buy two Steeljaws.
Just-
I'm just saying-
Maybe there is some like multi-pack we haven't heard about yet.
with a
And it's
Raoul.
gonna have a comics accurate blaster just because we don't have that variant yet. That'll have the opaque eject that we want also. It's gonna come with a Trax that has no clear plastic. It'll be the the Autobot 5-pack equivalent version of Trax. It'll have a little Raoul figure. It'll have that speaker accessory. That'll be your Autobop set. It won't be exactly accurate, but if you combine it with one of the other two blasters that you already have, that everything works out perfectly.
Don,
If you combine 5 different releases together, you get one perfect Autobop set.
Don,
You know,
loves,
I'd rather-
Don
I'd
loves
rather-
Raoul. By the way,
Yeah.
that's the reason. That's the reason.
you know what I would
agree
rather
with you.
have?
Yeah.
I would rather
Me too.
have a make track set that has. We're going off tangent, but this is something I thought of. Could we not use maybe the Trailbreaker or Hoist? Well, did we get Earthrise Hoist?
Yeah.
Okay. Couldn't those possibly become the brainless Decepticon troopers from the Chop Shop cars from Make Tracks and a new Tracks and someone else in a set of 4?
I mean, if you want a set of 4, why wouldn't you just make the opaque plastic version Hoist?
Yeah,
Oh, that would work. Oh, hey, you could also put a Cosmos in there.
you could.
A Cosmos.
Well, Cosmos is getting a package refresh anyway, so we don't need to put Cosmos in there. He didn't
No,
even come with clear plastic.
Yeah, but we need more Cosmos anyway. It's like Cowbell. We need more
So
Cosmos.
Steeljaw. So Steeljaw is incredibly small. I saw like people
Yeah.
complaining about like, oh, he doesn't have knees or anything. I don't think they realize how small this toy is going to be
Yeah.
because
Uh-huh.
those cassettes are tiny.
They're tiny.
Yeah.
You remember what happened when they tried to make a Ravage with postable legs? It didn't.
Didn't
It
work.
didn't go well.
I remember every time they tried to make a Ravage at all and it didn't work. So I mean, I
Ever
don't think
since
posable
G1, yeah.
legs. I don't think posable legs are really the problem here, but no. So like Steeljaw itself looked like it's actually smaller than the speaker piece it comes with.
Yeah, probably.
pretty close. Yeah.
Also, it has robot cat butt. I need to get that on the record.
That's not the show title. I'm not going to do it.
That wasn't my intent with that. Just that needs to be made clear.
So
But yeah, I mean there's aspects of this I would like to be a little better, but people have like from the second they saw this have been vastly overestimating what Hasbro and Takara Tomy can do with a like 1 inch by 2 inch by ½ inch rectangle.
yeah. Hey, okay. So Bumblebee or Springer? Which you want to talk about first?
Let's talk about Springer.
Okay.
I am shocked how much better I like this.
Yeah.
I'm shocked on how much they changed on it because at first, like I didn't see it until I really looked at the pictures and like his thighs are different, his chest is different, the shoulders, the upper arms, the backpack, the head. They put a lot of work into this.
I thought the prior version was fine until I saw this.
I had a few minor issues with the prior version. I didn't like transforming it.
Yeah.
It never really. I think I forget whether it was car or helicopter mode. I could never quite get everything to line up properly on my copy, and it drove me insane. But from the look of this, I will be happy to give it another try with a highly modified version of that mold.
Yeah, so he's highly modified. Tons of new parts.
Tons of accessories.
Tons of accessories. He has the right sword. He has the wrecker hammer.
Because they had extra room on the sprue.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I'm all for this. If it's easier for Hasbro to do this, like I don't know how much easier it is. It might be cheaper. And they can go back and retool to this level. Do it. Transformers, we've always had retools. We've always had repaints. What we've not always had are retools and repaints that are this nice. And this is great.
Now I'm going to get back on my Five Faces of Darkness high horse here for a minute, and I want this in cup colors from the opening sequence.
I forgot. That.
Make it happen, Hasbro.
Please. But one thing people are going to have to kind of learn to understand that it's a leader, but it's like what we've seen in the past. It's Voyager Plus, kind of, and people are going to need to understand that. It's going to this is like what Mega kind of used to be, that real weird in between where it wouldn't fit in one, it doesn't fit in the other, so it's kind of its own thing. So this Voyager Plus, it's going to be a thing if we want to get these characters the way they're supposed to look with what they're supposed to come with.
But Mega was its own price point, and it was not as much as an Ultra. And it was more than a Deluxe. This is just, it's like going, it's a Deluxe Plus, so here it is at Ultra price.
Yeah, I don't think, honestly, like, I know they did a lot. They reworked it. I don't know if it's $20 more, if that's justified.
Yeah, so I will tell you, there actually is an example of Deluxe Plus bumping up to the next price point like that.
Hot Rod.
Which, no, all older than that. The Robots in Disguise 2001 bullet trains.
Oh,
those were not Mega class toys, but they had to sell them at that because they were too big to fit into Deluxe.
Yep.
Okay.
So like, that's happened for a long time, and like Mega was its own price point. Fortunately, we had a lot of discussion about this in our Discord this week at tfradio.net/Discord. Like, I will not say that we all came to agreements on our points of view, because that certainly didn't happen. But I think one thing we all can agree on is that, there needs to be an intermediate price point between Voyager and Leader right now to catch some of these things. A lot of people don't sound like they're impressed with the large accessory loadout to try to balance it closer to being a Leader price point toy. And if we could have a $45 price point and get the core toy and its sword and rotor to fit in that by itself at that $45 instead of being pushed up to $56, $60, that'd probably suit a lot of people better. It's just, I understand, like we all do here, why this is what it is. I don't necessarily like that this is the reality, but this versus getting something that is so cut down and compromised to fit in a Voyager price point, I would rather pay the little bit more than what it should cost and get the toy that it should be.
Because I think we all need to keep keep one thing in mind. None of us want another Starscream and chair situation.
That's true.
So if it's a choice between a smaller figure with all the accessories that are appropriate for that figure at that Leader price point versus a Voyager and a honking big chunk of chair, show
I
title.
wanted the chair, Don.
Yeah, but
Yeah, I had no problems with that release. I will admit that I waited for it to be marked down.
yeah.
The only
but-
problem with that release is they made way too many.
Well, yeah, but
my only problem with that release is that I waited on Earthrise Starscream to get that version because it had a little bit extra articulation, and I forget what the minor error is on my copy, but it has a minor error, and that kind of irritated me.
yeah. But I'm just saying, in general, none of us want that situation. If nothing else, it's clogging the shelves at that price point, and new product isn't getting put out because of it.
I just think they made way too many of that. I don't think that it was clogging the shelves because people didn't buy it. I think it was clogging the shelves because they just way overproduced
Porque
it.
no listos.
Actually, it's more that it came out too soon after Earthrise Starscream was on the shelf.
Yeah.
The collector market that was aimed at hadn't had enough time to have that Starscream be old or be like, oh, I missed that when it came around. Here's my chance. Because on paper, that Coronation Starscream should have been a perfect release because it was everything to recreate a specific movie scene that everybody remembers. Anybody who's ever watched that movie remembers Starscream's coronation. The only way you could have made that more perfect would have been for that to be the black and gray Starscream as he's dying.
Yeah.
You know,
I think the fact that we knew about it while Earthrise Starscream was on the shelves probably didn't help a lot because, you know, I remember specifically skipping Earthrise Starscream because we knew this was coming, and I may as well wait for that version.
So Bumblebee.
Oh, there's one thing I want to say, Chris. Real quick, I want a third party, even if it's just papercraft, to do that cannon that missile fits in.
I was going to say that should be the next Titan.
Yeah. Bumblebee. So what do you guys think?
Looks good.
That's a yellow cliff jumper, all right.
I think it's definitely pre-tooled to where they can, change the feet, and it could be a cliff jumper and a bumper and a hubcap, and I would buy them all.
I'm all for it.
Yeah, I mean it's very clear that like more than anything else, that's where they went to with designing this. They also obviously were staying as much away as they could from anything distinctly Volkswagen looking about it because they won't be able to use this whenever they want to without having to pay licensing on it.
Yeah, which in my opinion only serves to make it look more like the original toy, which was not, of course, a full-size Volkswagen Beetle. So that's fine with me.
Yeah,
I can see where Diecast is coming though, because it is very boxy, as even the original Penny Racer toy was rounded.
Yeah,
so I
it
see
needs
where
to
he's
be
coming with
rounded.
that. It doesn't bother me personally, but I can see where he's coming from.
I agree.
Yeah, it's definitely closer to that original design than just a yellow cliff jumper would be, which is, we've gotten Bumblebees along those lines in the past. So this I think is like a good middle ground between the yellow cliff jumpers we've gotten and the Volkswagen Beetles, which are both not quite accurate to the original design and don't get reissued that often because of licensing fees.
Yeah, no, the Netflix Bumblebee, it's a great model of a Volkswagen in its alt mode. It doesn't look anything like what Bumblebee looked like in the cartoon or the original toy because of that. And the only real problem I have with how this Studio Series 86 one looks in vehicle mode is just I want that rounded back edge to the roof line. Like that's the only real thing that's taking me out of this is the Bumblebee that they're trying to make this be. I can see though, like that might be pushing it too close to a Volkswagen thing.
That could have been a separate part.
Yeah.
But I think that might be pushing it. I think that might be pushing it too close to the Volkswagen thing.
Yeah, which is why I'm sure they didn't do it. I'm just saying it is it is just a backpack and probably could have been a different part.
Yeah.
And will probably be a third-party upgrade kit.
Probably.
That's one I will definitely buy. If there's a third-party upgrade kit to make it more, G1, I'm on it.
Brian, would you like to say something?
Oh, I was going to say, I'm looking at all the deluxe Bumblebees, G1 Bumblebees that have come out over the last 15 years, and this one is far and away my favorite.
I still like classics the best, but
I like it. I like it so much better than classics. I like this so much better than any other one that's come out. It is my favorite by far.
So I don't know if I'm going to end up picking this one up, but like I like that this is a mechanism whereby maybe we could actually get a classics bumper, which is, something that has never happened so far in remaking G1 with knees. Even if it comes in like a multi-pack at some point down the line, this mold suits that purpose as much as it does anything else. I'm not so much into this necessarily for the Bumblebee aspect, like the robot head on this. Anytime they try to make a sculpted object that looks like what Bumblebee's face looked like in the cartoon, it never works right. And even as far back as, I guess, as far back as Masterpiece 2.0 Bumblebee, we talked about the idea that the way Bumblebee's face is designed in animation is probably something that cannot actually work in 3 dimensions. Like, it's never going to look quite right because it has to exist in more than just a flat plane. And there's been better attempts and worse attempts at this. I like the Netflix mold's take on it the best. It's not a great representation of the cartoon specifically, but it's a good Bumblebee face. This has the same problem as the Masterpieces do, and Origins Bumblebee to an extent, where like they're just leaning into the cartoon too much, and it is just not working because it can't work.
The profile of like the silhouette of the body. I'm looking at photos from Australia, holding the car mode in hand. That is the Bumblebee toy deluxe size Bumblebee toy that I've always wanted. It just something about it speaks to me. I genuinely love it.
And I think this would be great for like 4-pack fodder or 3-pack fodder, whatever. Like, especially if it's got, different parts to make it different cars, just repaint the crap out of this thing. Like Chris said, hubcap, please. I would finally love to get a Generations glyph and tap out off of this.
I was going to suggest that as the 3-pack is glyph, tap out, and bumper.
Yeah, like Hasbro, do you take bribes? Because we can talk. Like,
Don, do you take bribes?
Well, if I was in charge of Hasbro, I might. I don't know, but I'm not. But I mean, it wouldn't be exactly right. But you could do a 4-pack with another Bumblebee as Goldbug. It wouldn't be exactly right, but it's a possibility.
I want a Wasp. I'll take anything.
But the thing,
Wasp, Bug Bite again. It's been long enough. This is a completely different mold.
But the thing is, I can see all the other potential built into this figure, and it doesn't bother me because it's not like you're paying all the money for Masterpiece Trailbreaker and you see all that hoist already baked into the mold,
it go, Don.
Which doesn't make him look like Trailbreaker. But on this deluxe, you can see it doesn't bother me as bad because I understand what they got to do.
Yeah. It just occurred to me, there's an animated Bumblebee, and I would rather have a Wasp out of this than that.
And like, and you can't even blame that on the animated Bumblebee being like on the small side, because this is also small for a deluxe. Like, there's pictures here from that display in the Australian event with the Transformers 1 Optimus Prime, and that Bumblebee is much shorter than that.
Yeah, I don't know. It just works for me.
No, I like the bug bite idea though as more like exclusive fodder for this, just because the bug bite we got was so lackluster.
Yeah, like pair this with the Gears mold and the Brawn mold and just do a whole bunch of Antex and Estrella stuff.
Yes.
Yes.
And,
I mean,
that's
that
something... Wind Charger mold that I'm sure Mark and Hisui-san are working on for me. Like, throw that in there too.
I mean, with this design team, with this Bumblebee, they've got to be looking at an Australia 4-pack, and maybe a couple could be maybe a Gears and a Bumblebee as all the South American colors
with an add-on keychain accessory for the BotCon stuff. Yeah.
Ooh.
So okay, so there was a War for Cybertron Decepticon soldier and a Bumblebee. It's Bumblebee, right?
Bumblebee movie
Skywarp.
Yeah.
I mean,
they showed those as well.
Yeah, that Trooper is from the Lockdown mold.
It's from Barricade.
Barricade. Sorry, I meant Barricade. Which looks like, okay, I'll get one, and then I'll wait and see if they go on clearance, because the Barricade mode is the weakest of the Gamer editions so far but it's fine. But when you compare it to Optimus and Bumblebee and some of the others, it's definitely the weakest link.
I will let you in on a little secret here, Don. I have not actually wanted to buy any of these Gamer Edition figures since seeing a photo of any of them.
Yeah, me neither. I haven't bought any. Looking just at the outline of it, like I just because of the shoulders, I was thinking, oh, it's strong arm, but no, it's clearly not. But like, like those powerful shoulders, I just think of strong arm now. She's wonderful. Okay, so that we got more like pipeline announcements from the space bridge.
Yeah.
The one that confused me was like, is it intentionally supposed to be a G1 looking Optimus Prime?
Yes.
Yes.
That's an upcoming deluxe toy.
Deluxe?
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Is this something?
Wow,
that DT
I just
Prime
assumed.
shared?
It
Pardon me,
is
Brian?
a current deluxe based on the original G1 Optimus Prime toy.
Interesting. What do we know about it?
That it's a current deluxe based on the original G1 Optimus
Okay.
Prime toy. And since this is using the packaging art, we also implicitly know that it comes with an Energon axe and a rifle.
You know, that's kind of disappointing because sadly, with this economy where the toys are, he would need to be a Voyager.
I mean, I can see where you're coming from. Although, if this is something like the Legacy Cybertron Hotshot, which is a very large deluxe for its price point compared to, other modern toys, if this is something that was initiated by Takara and is being done along the same line, it could actually be more comparable to the size it needs to be to represent the original toy.
I think this is also a concerted effort to get an Optimus Prime into the deluxe price point.
Yeah,
Specifically.
Yeah.
they need that.
Yeah.
It surprises me that the Transformers 1 Optimus Prime is apparently the A-level Optimus Prime and that this one is not. Because this seems much more obvious to me as have this be the Optimus Prime Deluxe that is available to retailers year-round, basically.
Yeah. I'm just surprised because when I saw this Space Bridge photo, I just assumed it was the 86
Commander
class Optimus Prime.
Oh,
That's why I was just like, oh, it's Optimus Prime.
That was
We
my
already know
thought
that's coming.
too, honestly, until I saw people saying it was the toy-inspired version. What
Okay,
else? What else?
Okay, so they talked about the re-release of Metalhawk. There's apparently going to be deco differences compared to the one that came out last year, and
Does it have a tie?
went to clearance, and also is still available readily, even to this very moment. So I believe they said that the original one was more cartoon-based in its deco. This one's going to be more toward the toy.
He needs to have a suit painted on, like over the robot body.
That's okay. So, like, if this Metalhawk was going to be released as an exclusive through FunPub BotCon, I would absolutely see that being a thing because I just think back to Thunderwing Metalhawk.
Yeah.
With the unfortunate human face that they added onto that. So they weren't really specific about what those deco changes mean to the toy overall. Honestly, like, they're not showing anything new accessory-wise in the package art. I really hope that it ends up coming with, like, the big rifle that the original Metalhawk toy had, because, like, that's the one thing that was missing from Metalhawk to really represent what the original toy was. Besides the Pretender shell, obviously, but that was never going to happen. They talked about the leader class Soundwave coming up. They confirmed it is the Netflix Earthrise mold, and that it will have 3 cassettes with it.
They
They
did
didn't-
not specify which 3 cassettes it would be, though.
But I sure as hell hope that one of them is Buzzsaw finally.
Yeah.
No, Laserbeak Ravage and Blue Rumble, I'm sure.
They
Just
acknowledged
be contrary.
they acknowledged Legacy Armada Galvatron, which they also acknowledged that had been, shown on Tidal Wave's packaging already months ago. They announced Quake, and Quake from the package art seems to obviously come with copies of Needlenose's Target Masters, but from the details on the package art, it looks like Quake might be a partial from Skullgrin.
Is he going to be a headmaster?
No,
Wait,
no,
sorry,
Quake's a Target Master.
He's a double Target master, dude.
No, he's a Target Master.
Our last Quake was
the
a headmaster.
chest
Yeah, he was.
Yes, but this this chest specifically looks like it's off of the Skullgrin toy.
And when people realize that, it made me kind of feel disappointed, because when I saw the package art with the needle nose target masters, I was really hoping that they had lost their minds and tried to retool a Quake out of needle nose.
Nice.
Like,
So it's Silver Bolt.
I fully 100% believe they could actually do it and make it work.
Oh,
and
yeah.
B, I just want to see how insane that re-engineering would have been to actually get there. Like,
Yeah.
that's the alternate universe I want to look in on today. Core Class Energon Galvatron, animated Motormaster from Legacy Animated Optimus.
The Motormaster.
I mean, yes, but I don't believe they ever properly referred to him as the Motormaster when they were doing the pipeline segment. Slipstream from, of course, the Windblade mold.
Yeah, Cyberverse Slipstream, sadly.
And then a recolor, maybe retool of the Core Class Rocklord. They did not give a name or a gender for it. They're kind of just playing their whole cards close to their chest on that one.
It's purple this time.
Yeah, somewhat like purple and bronzy, maybe.
Yeah, brownie, bronzy. Yeah,
Yeah.
that Prime is the biggest surprise to me.
Yeah, I mean, considering how accurate in general the package art is to the toys these days, like, that's a pretty good indicator of what that's going to look like. And I'm interested to see more. Like, it's a neat fusion of modern toy design with the G1 toy look, and I think that's also going to help it feel distinct enough from what Missing Link has already just brought to the table, in terms of, like, here's a posable G1 Optimus Prime, literally G1 Optimus Prime with knees. This is going to be, what if G1 Optimus Prime was designed in 2022, 23, because, year and a half lead time on the toys. But yeah, I mean, there's some stuff here I'm interested in, but there's a lot of it that I'm also looking at just like, yeah, nah, that's okay. You can keep it.
Soundwave is really going to depend on which cassettes he comes with.
Yeah.
Buzzsaw had better be in that pack.
Soundwave for me too is also going to depend on if I can go find where my Netflix one is and whether its nylon parts have discolored or not.
Give us Buzzsaw, give us Enemy, and then you can throw whatever third cassette in there you want. Sunder would be nice. Even
though Thunder, yeah. Yeah, give me an orange Condor any day. Shock, I know.
Anything else?
No, that's it.
Okay. Looking over. Okay, I want to move. I want to skip. I want to skip ahead to something real quick. Because one of the top news items of the week, as far as I'm concerned, at least as far as chatter online goes, is the Mattel Creations Optimus Prime.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it was kind of neat until I realized how small it was, and it's $80. So it is very much a G1 Optimus Prime, Battle Convoy, whatever.
At 1/64 scale.
At 1/64 scale, it's tiny. It's chromed out. It is.
It's done entirely in Hot Wheels metal flake paint and vac metal, best as I can tell.
That's frightening.
No, what's frightening is that it has the removable fists still for transformation.
Oh God.
Are they also diecast?
That's an excellent question, actually.
Probably.
I doubt it.
I bet they are. Probably not. But yeah, so I was really excited about it until I realized how small it was. But like, I don't need it anyway. Like, even if it was, I can't. I know who this is for. This is for the 70-something, 60-something gentlemen who go to Toys R Us or Walmart, pardon me, at like 7 o'clock in the morning to see what Hot Wheels came in the night before.
Yeah. We talked at some length about this on There Goes My Money when we recorded this week.
Yeah.
That'll be going up to the Patreon feed in a few days, hopefully. And yeah, we basically came to the same conclusion on this. This is not for Transformers collectors. This is for Hot Wheels collectors who also remember having a Transformer or two when they were kids, or when they had kids. Yeah.
I'm just looking at it. It's 3.5 inches tall.
And it's $80.
Yeah. And it doesn't even come with a trailer.
With the removable fists, and can you imagine trying to get that thing to hold its ion blaster?
Yeah.
I just do not understand the price point. I don't see this thing being marketed in such a way to show it being worth that much money.
Think of it as a HasLab.
Okay, there's a little bit of that, yeah. There's also this is almost unprecedented in that Hasbro is allowing a company that is not them or Takara to make a transforming Transformers toy with a license. So
they need money badly.
Yeah, they said they were going to license the heck out of things. So
yeah, and I have to assume that the cost to license Optimus Prime's likeness to the extent that it can change shape into the truck must have cost Mattel quite a bit of money.
Yeah,
yes, I'm sure that factors into that $80.
Yeah, they're probably having to recoup that heavily in this price point. It is kind of like a HasLab thing too. It's also, again, they are marketing this to the aged Hot Wheels collector who, because they are aged individuals, probably still have some money to spend, unlike the rest of us who are a bit younger. This is Mattel knows what they're doing with their Hot Wheels marketing, obviously, at this point. So I think this is going to work just fine for them. And again, this is not for us. It is a very interesting oddity to me because of everything it represents.
Mm-hmm.
But this is not something that would ever be on my radar in its current form at its current price. The closest I came, the closest I came to feeling like this is something I would potentially even think about buying would be if it was literally half the price, came with a trailer with the combat deck stuff inside, and was in an equally scaled down replica of the original G1 packaging. And at that point, I would not be getting it as a toy. I would be getting it as a little piece of shelf art, basically. It would just live there, on display as the oddity it is. The Mattel 1/64th scale, fully transformable Optimus Prime toy that should not exist under any circumstances that we've ever known.
That's they did a great job on the packaging. So if you want to buy this and put it on your shelf, I considered it. It's really nice looking, and they did a great job.
That might be the most damning thing of all, that at this point, Diecast has only considered it and has not just bought it.
Well, you can't buy it yet, so.
Yeah. Okay, so just before we move on from this, I just want to put things in a little bit of perspective for people, who are Transformers collectors as opposed to Hot Wheels collectors and, are tempted by this. For just a little bit more, right now on Hasbro Pulse, because they're having a sale, you can get Missing Link Optimus Prime with trailer for about $100, another $20.
Yeah.
It is absolutely worth that. It is the size of the original toy. It is constructed with the same materials as the original toy, and it is made of styrofoam, so it will make your teeth hurt in a nostalgic way when you pull it out of the package. If you want a small Optimus Prime in a reproduction original package to put on your shelf, Chris, they actually I think it was the line Takara Tomy did was called something like Littlest Toy Store. There is a release of World's Smallest Transformers Optimus Prime with trailer in a replica of the original box in that line. And I'm pretty sure you can find it for less than $100 if you really want to.
Yeah,
probably. Yeah.
So yeah, for people who are not specifically into Hot Wheels, who are not in the in the market for a mostly diecast metal Optimus Prime with really poorly written AI description on the packaging, there are good options out there.
I will say this: if I was in the market for a Hot Wheels Optimus Prime, which I'm really not, I would totally be going for that Track Fleet one that we saw a few weeks ago. That is just Optimus's cab and a trailer, and that's it. That's all it's trying to be, all it needs to be. And as far as I understand, those cost $10.
Yeah. And just the only other thing I have to add about this is I'm pretty sure this is one of the. Remember when Hasbro said they were licensing out renders of the original molds to
Yes.
their subcontractors? I am absolutely certain that this is part of that project because, well, it is so precise a replica of the original toy that it has the little rib on the back of the torso for where the screw holds the two halves together, even though they are not two halves on this toy.
That's good. That's a great call.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I only hope this helps Hasbro get out of the money pit they're in.
It won't.
No.
But
Yeah.
we're going to be. This is just the tip of the iceberg.
Probably.
We're going to be seeing a lot more of this kind of stuff
They are going
as they're trying to recoup some of their losses.
They're going, because Transformers is still profitable for them, they're going to run it into the ground.
They're about halfway there already, so.
Yep. Okay, so speaking of, we get BotShot reissues.
That's crazy.
I liked BotShots. I don't have any more anymore. I got rid of them. Like, I never did the gaming gimmick or whatever it is,
Mhm.
but they were fun little toys. And it's weird to me that they're reissuing some of them. And I don't still understand why.
Well, if you look at a lot of the things in the Transformers 1 line, they appear to be reissues and or slight modifications of older molds from other lines.
Yeah, if you
And-
look toward the bottom of this gallery, there's some one-step changers. One of which is a Robots in Disguise 2015 Blur, but it's now a Mirage. And you know it's a Mirage because they have sloppily put an F1 car's front nose and wing on the front of that Blur toy.
Oh, nice.
Just stick it right in there. That'll work.
Yeah.
What really kind of confused me is that I don't know if it's a coincidence or if they just were reminded that BotShots molds and toy designs existed when this happened. But a couple of weeks ago on Blue Sky, Rob Springer posted a link. Takara Tomy is doing new BotShot style molds for their Shinkalian toy line, which is all transforming robot trains.
Interesting.
So on two different fronts, it's so strange.
Hey, they come with the launchers. So,
Yeah.
I mean, this is like the best of bot shots right there.
I mean, the best of BotShots was the launchers that became like trailers for
Trailers.
the vehicle modes. And like I never picked it up because I ended up getting the basic Starscream by itself. What I really always wanted was the Starscream launcher version that had the weird, like, I don't know what else to call it, but a jet trailer. It was just,
Yeah, jet
it was it was the same kind of add-on, but for the aircraft mode. And like, it was one of those things that was just, it was so silly. I wanted it, but that price point, it never went on sale or clearance any place I saw that happening. And like, I didn't want to pay full price to rebuy the, I think at the time, one BotShot that I owned.
So, my internet's crapping out, so I can't pull this up. What can you tell me about the Star Raiders collection Thundertron?
So
it is virtually the same as the release that everyone already has, but has a new head and a hook hand.
mhm.
It comes with a deluxe Rock Lord character, which is just repainted, and a repaint of the Rat Bat cassette as Night Strike, which is supposed to transform not into a cassette but into the flag for the pirate ship.
Matt just needs to be the one
am
summarizing this stuff. That was great. The show would be 5 minutes long.
Thundertron also does have an alternate robot head that's based on the original Transformers Prime toy, like almost one for one. But yeah, like this is pretty much what we expected this to be, which was the Voyager mold with another toy packed in, just like the Netflix spoiler packs did with Megatron and the clear purple Skelevor, the Tyrannosaurus skeleton. I think it was Skelevor in that
remember.
release.
That's a great name. I thought probably would remember it. I would think.
You would think, yeah.
That's a great name.
I don't feel like the reception to this has been particularly warm though, for what it is.
No, people seem to be pretty mad about that Thundertron in particular. Like they would have rather had the better head on the individual release instead of waiting to buy the toy a second time. I just want the Rat Bat repaint myself.
Yeah.
I'm pretty good just sticking with the individual Thundertron that I have. Like,
Yeah.
I don't have it and I'm fine.
If the existing Thundertron goes on clearance, I may get that instead, but I actually, I'm probably one of the 3 people who had the Prime Voyager Thundertron. And so, if this has a mold closer to that head sculpt but with paint, I'm fine with that. I haven't bought any of the Rocklord things yet, so I'll get to check one of those out. I just like the Rat Bat. So
yeah.
It's dumb to be considering all this mainly for the cassette, but just
that's the boat I'm in.
Yeah, like the other 2 things I've kind of been hemming and hawing on. So it's like, I'll, if I can get all 3 of those for the price of a liter, I don't think that's too unreasonable. So,
this will go on clearance though, guaranteed.
Yeah.
Oh, very likely, yeah. So, may be able to get it even cheaper. So, yeah. I'm fine with it.
Yeah, I mean, you are looking at like $65 to $68 worth of toy here by like normal prices for a little bit under that at what these capsule liters end up costing. So not a bad deal.
Diecast, what do you think about these Funko Pops?
Oh, I like the little laser beak. He looks so cool.
But wouldn't you rather have Buzzsaw?
Buzzsaw is a chase variant, so
1 in 6 chance.
Yeah. And that means if you're gonna find it on the on the street, it's probably gonna be hard to do.
So what do you think the street price will be on Funko Pop Buzzsaw?
Oh,
$10 million.
I hate to admit, but the Funko Pop Condor actually doesn't look that bad to me.
Probably about $50, 50 or 60, since it's a 1 in 6. But yeah, I hate to say it, I'm gonna pick up the laser beak.
Of course you are.
It looks good. I mean, I like these different type of Funko Pops that we don't normally get. Like we talked about these before, the Blaster and the Astro Train and the Prime and the Megatron really don't do anything for me, but the laser beak just looks cool.
This continues to support my hypothesis that Funko Pops work best when they don't look like Funko Pops.
Yes.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Well, everyone's Funko Popped out, so at least laser beak is not a traditional Funko Pop.
Yeah, things that really don't quite, aren't quite in that very rigid body type that that Funko Pops has for most of their releases. There have to be entire landfills full of generic button-eyed people in suits by now, for God's sake.
Yeah.
But this, like some of the Funko Pops I thought have looked interesting over the years. This the one they did of Audrey 2, things that just, there's no way to make a standard Funko Pop out of that. It has to be something slightly different, and that is where the line really shines, when it's not trying to be itself, I guess.
Speaking of Audrey 2, Roger Corman died.
Oh yeah.
So sad.
I remember hearing about that.
98 years old.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Good on him.
And basically half of Hollywood has talked about how wonderful he was for them and their careers.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
Cool.
Okay, let's jump to what we got this week. Diecast. What did you get this week?
I got the Nemesis Bridge Pack with the Optimus Prime, Shockwave, and Netflix Soundwave.
Optimus Prime?
Or Megatron. Did I say Optimus Prime?
Yes,
You
did.
sure did.
Wow. So that Megatron mold, I think that's like the 10th time I've gotten that mold, and it is starting to show its age. It's a little bit loose and wiggly and doesn't quite tab in that great.
That's why he comes with a chair, so he doesn't actually have to stand.
Yeah. And that's why I was telling
chair.
Don I love that chair, because I just got it again. And yeah, I really like the colors on all of them. The Soundwave is good. Of course, I have the Netflix one, so now I'm like, when we're talking about the Soundwave 3-pack or the one with the 3 cassettes, I'm like, man, I'm gonna have to buy that one again.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
But that's a really nice set. The box art's actually the slipcase, the box art on that's really nice. I posted that on Twitter. And then I also got my cheap little what is his name?
Sandstorm?
Sandstorm. Yeah.
Diecast
haven't-
is tired, everybody.
Yeah. I haven't
me too.
transformed him yet, but he's okay. I'm digging him. I'm glad I only paid $45 for him and I got him on sale.
Oh, good.
Yeah. $45 feels like the right price point for like Sandstorm and Springer and you know maybe Astro Train and that stuff, but
Soundwave with 3 cassettes.
Soundwave or 3, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Other than that, it's kind of been a slow week, but that's all I got.
Okay, Don, what'd you get?
Nothing.
Okay, Matt.
I got one thing on topic this week. It is the Doctor Wu sword dancer, aka Slam Dance, Rain
Ah.
Dance, and Grand Slam. Really nice little figures. I haven't had any of these before. Sadly, I missed out on Chatter, which was the Squawk box. I really wish I had that one, but yeah, makes a nice little tank, nice little plane, really posable little figure, feels good, fits in Blaster's chest just fine. I really like it.
Nice. I thought I had that pre-ordered. That's.
That came
I
out
picked that
last
up-
year, at least.
I thought it. Okay, I thought that was. Does Doctor Wu have any other any other cassettes up for pre-order?
They've got renders for, I think, 2 dinosaur cassettes.
Slugfest and Overkill.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Those
I
are
think
two of my
there are a
favorites.
couple of like random drones and like recolors,
Okay,
but yeah. Sadly, I missed out on Squawk Box.
I do have Grand Galvatron from Doctor Wu on reorder. Cool. Chris, you get anything?
No.
Rob?
Nothing on topic.
Okay, so I got something. It's a minor grail. I had ordered this. I had ordered it from Singapore. There's a Transformers dealer collector. Guy has a lot of desirable pieces up on. I bought mint and sold box G1 Springer from him, and he had this setting on his store for months. And I'm like, I really want to get this. And I finally pulled the trigger on it like 2 months ago, and I got it today. It is the Ostrom International G2 Megatron watch. But this is the Woolworths exclusive one that came
nice.
attached to G2 Megatron in 1995 at Woolworth stores. So it was literally with like a piece of tape just stuck to the box. So unless you get it like attached to the G2 Megatron, it's always going to just be like a plastic strip. It's non-transforming, and I'm certainly the batteries in this are long dead. I'm probably not going to replace them. So I've got this, not the same thing, but I also have the Galvatron watch. So there's a blast off it's a non-robot that came out, an Ultra Magnus, and I'm trying to remember what else. I really love these watches, but God, they're expensive for what they are. But if I'm going to complete G2, I probably have to get them. One thing I really need is a vintage Tiger handheld G2 Transformers game. I've got the reissue from a couple years ago. I bought those were on clearance, and I got them for like $3 each, so I bought several.
Man.
But yeah, I'm very happy to have this because I love G2 Megatron. He's gorgeous.
Nice.
Yeah, it's cool. Let's jump to off topic. What we got this week? Nothing for me. So reverse order, Rob.
Okay. Got another sewer guy order. I found some pretty good stuff.
Cool.
I got a lot of books this time, which, to be honest, the more I go on and the more the thing, the toys I've been looking for are either not available or I've already gotten is a lot of what I end up getting. I got the other 3 volumes of Mobile Suit Gundam Complete Record Collection, which is the hardcover series that Sunrise put out itself when Gundam started to get really big in Japan. The volume 1 looks absolutely perfect. It still had a reply card in it. It does have her smell a little moldy. I'm going to get some more, anti-smell things to lock it and a few other things in a package with. But yeah, it has a lot of information on the making of the series, some of which I can even make out because it's, like illustrations and things. Towards the end of the making of Gundam, the character designer was in the hospital, so other people filled in when they needed new mobile suits and mobile armors in a hurry. The writer and director Tomino designed a lot of them himself. All his sketches are in these books. And some of them are pretty good sketches, and some of them were very rough and were definitely translated into something better. The Elmeth basically is 1-to-1 what he designed, but
So was Tomino ultimately the monsters guy or the turnip lady?
I think he was probably turnip lady.
Okay.
Because all the things that look kind of flared and vegetative seem to have come from him. So yeah. There's maybe 3 people in the world who are going to get that joke. That's great.
Yeah, and we're 2 of them.
Yes. The other thing I got that was similarly ancient was a little art book called Yoshikazu Yasuhiko Design Note. Yasuhiko was the character designer in question who went to the hospital during the course of First Gundam. He did character designs for a lot of other series in the 70s, and most modern retrospectives, his career starts at Gundam, or possibly some of the work he did on Star Blazers. So there's a lot of stuff here that just does not get mentioned much. There's a whole section on the unproduced anime series Terrahawks, which became a Jerry Anderson show about 5 years later. So, it's digest size. I wish it were a larger reproduction, but it's fairly rare and unusual stuff. So, and lastly, I got a couple more of the special creative model Gundam figures. Those are Banpresto deals, basically Crane Game prizes from like 20 years ago. The Gundam Mark II is the interesting one, though, is the Impulse Gundam from Gundam Seed Destiny, which 20 years later finally got a sequel movie about a month ago. And what's interesting about it is the fact that it does something that the old MS in Action cannot do, which is that it could be launched in 3 parts. The top, the torso, the legs, and the core fighter all became separate components that could be launched and flown separately in the series. MS in Action could not do this. This can. So that means it has a little bit more shoulder and arm jointing than the MS in Action. It's also significantly bigger because that was a small figure. Really good though. Really good though. But yeah, unfortunately, it's one of those things where you have to get both versions to get all the accessories. So to get the shield, I'm going to have to track down the other Impulse Gundam from this same assortment at some point. But it's not a bad figure. It was less than $10. Like everything here, everything I've mentioned except for Volume 5 of Gundam Complete Record was less than $10. So I think that was a pretty good haul, and that is the extent of what I've gotten this week.
Matt?
I got my Shokugan modeling project Tetra Boy from Chojin Sentai Jetman. So he is the last remaining mech from the series. Looking forward to putting that together whenever I get a couple minutes. I would have done it today, but I was rearranging furniture since my new setup there. But that's it for me.
Donald.
The only thing I got was G.I. Joe Classified Kamakura. He, for some reason, he was always running much higher than retail, and it's like, I don't know who this character is. I don't really care. I found him in retail, so we got him for the collection. Other thing I picked up was, Rob, you remember the Zeldas Zelda and Samus that was in the stores?
Yeah.
The same company, I think, did some other new figures, and one of them is the Altered Beast from Altered Beast. That comes with the Spirit Orb. I picked up one of those because it's just a really cool looking werewolf figure from one of my favorite Sega games. But
I
yeah,
wanna get that.
that's well, if I see one, I'll let you know. But
Okay,
yeah,
thank you.
that's all I've picked up lately.
Yeah, there's a couple more figures in that assortment. I think one is the monkey from Super Monkey Ball, and
I've seen that, but I didn't know what it was.
yeah, and the last one is Axel from Streets of Rage.
I've seen both of those. So yeah, I've seen the whole wave. Do you want all of them or just the Altered Beast figure?
If you could get me Axel and the Beast, I would appreciate it.
Okay, I'll keep my eye out.
Thank you much.
Diecast.
I got nothing off topic.
Very cool. Okay. So I want to thank our patrons at patreon.com/tfradio. Just go sign up. Seriously. You should. Patrons get an ad-free version of Radio Free Cybertron. You get RFC the day before it posts on the public feed. Doesn't mean 24 hours necessarily. Sometimes it's more. Usually it's about 12 hours. You get the show at a higher bit rate with a weekly Patreon exclusive pre-show podcast. Sometimes there are unedited episodes of RFC. And you get There Goes My Money. You get that a week early. Patrons at the touched tier get to be on There Goes My Money. That's recorded twice monthly. Touched patrons also get to be mentioned on the show each week and also listed at tfradio.net/credits, which I'm going to do now. Kevin Dorsey, Jacob Owen Lucia, Sean Bratton, Emmett Stresovich, Hector Bones, Jay Klein Rye, Joey Russell, Here's Why It's Cool, Rabbits, Rick Mahurin, Ryan Bona, Sean Hamilton, Sean Williamson, Spider Bob, and Trickster. Thank you all so much. We love you. If you want to be a patron and you want to be on There Goes My Money with Chris, go to tfradio.net/Patreon or patreon.com/tfradio. They both work. So if you screw them up like I do, I got you set up. Just go to either one. And sign up to be a touched patron, and you can be on There Goes My Money. You can find all of our crap at tfradio.net going back to the 1990s. Not like articles going back to the 1990s, podcast episodes going back to the 1990s. Officially old. John DeLuna is not here this week. He is at that John D everywhere. Rob Springer, he is at RoboRobSpringer on Twitter, zonebase.org online, and on Blue Sky at zonebase.bsky.social. Most of my stuff can be found at briankilby.com. I've been posting new episodes of the Happy Daily. I also have that on Facebook at facebook.com/happydayinwilkes, I think. The shtick that I'm doing right now, and this is like legit, my tiny hometown where I'm from, is getting a minor league baseball team. So I am seriously, for people who know, one of the reasons that there is a Radio Free Cybertron is my first job was in radio. I did it for 16 years. So I'm lobbying to do the play-by-play for the baseball team, and I will do it in character. And if I ever go back to working in radio, which honestly I really miss, it will 100% be in character. And I don't care. I would do it for free. I really want to do that. So, but yeah, you can find all that stuff at briankilby.com. Diecast, how do people get a hold of you?
They can get a hold of me on Twitter and Blue Sky at Diecast2. You can like my Facebook page at Reviews by Diecast, and you can also see my reviews at tfradio.net/reviews, and I have an Amazon wish list at tfradio.net/diecast list.
Donald.
I can be reached on Twitter at HMRC, the number 4 EBR. I can be reached on Blue Sky at HMRC, the number 4 EBR.bluesky.social. I also have an Amazon wish list, tfradio.net/dauntlist.
Very cool. Matt.
Melvar.bsky.social. That's with 3 L's and 2 R's, but good luck catching me ever logged in.
There you go. Chris.
I'm Chris RTXB on social media. That's, Blue Sky pretty much exclusively because I haven't really touched my Twitter account in 18 months or more, I would say at this point. Find me in our Discord though, tfradio.net/Discord. Like that's much more reliable than catching me active on Blue Sky, which, I read my timeline here and there and I reply to people sometimes, but like I don't post that much. I made an exception recently though for a couple screen caps from Star Trek Voyager. I've made the questionable decision to begin watching Star Trek Voyager from start to finish.
Ooh.
I mean, it's not the first time I've done that, and the last time I did, I found that I was liking the show on the whole better than I used to think I did. But I don't know if that was just because that since between those points, Enterprise had happened, and Enterprise was what it was. Anyway, I do sometimes post on my Blue Sky. But otherwise, yeah, I'm in our Discord. I have an Amazon wish list at tfradio.net/ChrisList if you want to buy me an old TV show or, one of a random handful of toys I've thrown on there. Partly so I can keep an eye on them, and then just in case anybody just, loses their mind and feels like tossing me a little bit of material affection. But that's pretty much it for me. I've got an archive of the work I've done on the internet, playwithphotography.com, galleries, articles I wrote, things like that. And that pretty much covers me.
Rob?
Okay, I'm on Blue Sky at robflails.bsky.social. That is ostensibly connected to Flailthroughs, my YouTube channel, which mainly covers Gundam Battle Operation 2, but also other games when I feel like it. We'll definitely be covering Gundam Breaker 4, which now finally has a release date of August 29th. If you like what I do over there, patreon.com.bsky.social. Rob has no brain. Patreon.com/flailthroughs. I made a name I could put on everything, and I forget what it is half the time. It's great. Anyway, yeah, you can support me there. Make specific requests for GBO2 or Gundam Breaker 4 when I'm running that. And if you feel like it, I also have a wish list at tfradio.net/playlist.
Very cool. Okay. Matt, I got you right.
Yeah.
You sure?
Yes, you did not forget me this week.
Do you want to go again, just in case he forgets you next week? It'll kind of make up for it.
No.
We'll see you next week. Have a good one.
Take care.
Recording stopped.
Okay. Okay. I think we all need to go to bed.
Yeah.
I'm fine. I haven't had a problem tonight.
I can't think of names or words.
Yeah, words are hard. Okay, people watching live, I'm going to kill the Twitch stream. Goodbye, Twitch. People watching live in a second, I'm going to kill the YouTube stream. It's a stream that goes out on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
For a couple more seconds.
Should it go out in his space?